Totally. Self-talk, right? So important. We didn't know that. That wasn't even a thing like 5 years ago where it was like, wait, my thoughts and my words create my reality? What the heck? Like, yeah. And like manifestation is real and intention is real. Yeah. Eventually I was like, I think I'm anxious. I didn't know what it meant. People talk about it, but I think until I actually got help. I'm pro medication. I know a lot of people like want to go like the holistic route, and they, meditations and all that really, really help. I found that medication for me was the best, and it actually helps me breathe. Like before,
Yes.
people were like, just breathe. Like if you're having a panic attack or you're getting overstimulated, just breathe. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And then I got medicated, and then I'm like, whoa, I can actually take a deep breath and feel my body relax. Like that is game changer.
Welcome to the Collaborative Resource Hub by Wellness Provisions. We're bridging the gap between mental health, wellness, and rock and roll. I'm Amy McBride, owner of Wellness Provisions, the most badass wellness business. Hey, are you feeling a little stuck in life? I offer wellness coaching sessions. Book a session with me if you're seeking to get healthy and ahead. Sessions are available worldwide. And check this out. Wellness Provisions supplies rock and rollers with high-quality supplements. We've simplified your shopping experience and given you a trustworthy place to go where you can essentially shop blindfolded. And did you know all our Collaborative Resource Hub interviews air on YouTube as well as all major podcast platforms? Subscribe to stay in the loop. Go immerse yourself in the full Collaborative Resource Hub experience over on our website. You'll have access to helpful resources that will inspire and educate you. So let's inspire each other. If that guy did it, so can you. Last but not least, my legal disclaimer. Nothing in this interview or the Collaborative Resource Hub substitutes medical advice. Please connect with your GP if you need medical guidance.
Rikki, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Hi, Amy. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing well. And like before we started recording, you're telling me about you've been hiking lately, and the trees behind you are super pretty. So
Yeah, so this isn't a fake background. This is actually my house up in Big Bear. And that's my backyard. And yeah, I have two dogs, and we've just been hiking since I got home. We did a 5-week tour of all over East Coast. And so when I got home, it was like perfect weather and the lake's full. And so I'm going to dedicate this entire week to hiking every day. And I just bought a paddle board.
Oh,
And
you did?
Yeah, it just came in. I actually pumped it up last night. So we're going to go after this interview. I'm going to take the dog. We're going to go down to the lake. So I'm pretty excited.
Cool. Yeah. So are you gonna do like, because I've seen some people like kneel on them or stand up, or you're just gonna go with your energy level?
Yeah, so this one is pretty cool. I haven't quite figured out how to put the back strap, but it's got the oars that you can like do like a kayaking, like a sitting. It's not like a huge setup and an oar stand. So I figured it's like a 2-in-1. Yeah. So I'm pretty stoked on it. It just came in. I'm like, yes.
You like kayaking?
Yeah. I didn't really like get too much into it, but we live by the lake. So it's like, why I have to love it. You can't not love it. It's not allowed. So plus like we had a crazy winter. There was like blizzards, and we got like 10 feet of snow. And so the lake's full. So yeah.
Yeah, you need to like take advantage of it. Yeah, I've been kayaking twice, and once was like in like a pretty chill like body of water. It was all right, it was nice. The other was there was like a current happening in this river, and it was, dude, I was like crying. My friend was getting frustrated with me because I was just like, I kept spinning the opposite way, and it was really crowded. It was like a horrible experience.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, just calm water. The lake, it's like, yeah, that sounds crazy. That does, especially because you haven't done it so much. I haven't really either, so I'm a little nervous with the wind. But I don't know, you can just swim, I guess, if you go overboard.
Well, and that's it too. Like that's when I was like, I kept like the boat was going backwards, and I was like hitting people, and I was like, the water I'm in is like 2.5 feet. Like I can just get out if I need to.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Anyways, though, first question.
Mm-hmm.
What does wellness mean to you?
Wellness is just my overall state of mind and body, soul, physical. Just having my medical background, it's like being socially well, physically well, mentally well, spiritually well, um, emotionally and intellectually well. All of
Yeah.
those combined, and it's a balance of all of those, right? So if you're putting too much energy into like your physical and not your spiritual, or it's balancing all those as a whole. That's
Yeah. And I think too, like what came to mind as you said that, it's keeping a balance, but also like, I guess, going with the flow that sometimes with life, I don't know, it's like, it's just constantly tweaking dials too, because like right now, like where I live, it's summer and it is so hot. So like I haven't been exercising outside as much. So it's like doing other things to sort of, it's always just,
Isn't that the thing? And I think
constant.
we all want like perfection. And it's like, little things, like there's a lot of moths up here right now and like taking over the house, and it's so hot and all these different things. And it's like, yeah, it's like balancing your mental stability for every day everything, every challenge, especially seasonal,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just trying to maintain that balance and staying, as positive as you can with every circumstance.
Yeah. So what do you do, or what has helped you keep like your like mental health, on the level?
So I was diagnosed with anxiety 8 years ago, and it was a big changing point for me. I had, a lot of mental health in my family. My cousin killed herself when she was 30, and we had really not talked about it as a family. It was one of those things where it was like kind of shoved under the rug, like on the outside, like this perfect perception. And I, eventually I was like, I think I'm anxious. I didn't know what it meant. Like I didn't know what anxiety was. People talk about it, but I think until I actually got help. I'm pro medication. I know a lot of people like want to go like the holistic route, and they, meditations and all that really, really help. I found that medication for me was the best, and it actually helps me breathe. Like before,
Yes.
people were like, just breathe. Like if you're having a panic attack or if you're getting overstimulated, just breathe. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And then I got medicated, and then I'm like, whoa, I can actually take a deep breath and feel my body relax. Like that is game changer. And so
Yeah.
I've been on medication for 7, 8 years, and
Was
just
it challenging with the medication to find the right either concoction or the dosage?
yeah, I think it was one of those things where I get kind of wound tight is where I go. I don't really have depression, but I get really spun out. And so the first anxiety medication, I can't remember what they gave me, but it was like a stimulant. And so at that point, it was like, whoa, this makes me feel weird. It even like kind of caused more anxiety. And then I tried a different one, and yeah, I'll never get off it. I don't think I'll ever get off it for as long as I live. And I know not medication's not for everybody, and a lot of people don't want to be medicated, but I find that I was just having like really bad shakes. Like I would get like really wound up and I would just be like shaking. I thought, man, what is this, like pre-Parkinson's or something? And
Jeez, it was that bad.
it was that bad. And especially in the mornings, like getting ready for my day, I would just be so balled up. And if I miss more than 2 days, I feel the shakes come back. It's crazy. So yeah, I told my doctor, I'm like, I'm shaking a lot. Like I would get on a plane and like, like a dog that gets really anxious, how they shake. That's how I was.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Were
I'm
you
shaking.
having like, at the forefront of your thinking, like anxiety, like rooted thoughts, like or were you aware, was there like, did you have that connection that it was, or is
I
it just
did, but it
like,
wasn't until after. because once my anxiety was under control, I was like, whoa, that's what, and if I miss my pills and it starts to come back, I'm like, that's what anxiety is. That's the craziest thing in the world. Like, that is so wild that's what because no one can really explain it really, right? It's like this weird phenomenon, and everybody's different.
That's what I
And
was going to say, everyone. And, and it's also, I find it interesting that a lot of people will interchange stress and anxiety.
right.
And like your stress response is different than like an anxiety response.
Exactly. And I didn't know that. I had no idea. And so, yeah, I got on medication, and it's, it helps me with all areas of my life. And I just feel so much healthier. So,
yeah, well, I mean, if you are like strong and stable at your core, then yeah, like every other part of your life and like what you do and think is going to be clearer and more focused and like have better results.
absolutely. And playing, being on stage every day, and just the pressures of performing, and having to be your best where you're around people 24/7 as a band touring, you don't get great sleep, and you're not able to really take as good a care, like you don't have a routine. There's a lot of things. It's really changed my life.
So it's obviously made touring and being on the road. I mean, that's night and day for you, how that feels too.
I really wish I would have got on medication earlier. Like, looking back on just where I was when I started, and, just all the little things that you get really wound up with, and now it's like those little things they don't affect me as much, and I'm able to really take like everything that comes in as like, do I really need to address this? Does this need my time? Or can I just let whatever it is flow through me and move on,
Yeah.
and being on tour, it's really good for that, because you can hang on to like so many little things if you want.
I would imagine. So the medication has allowed you to sort of have like this triage response.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, which one's more important,
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah. It's been really great.
What else have you either learned from or started doing, or that if you can even like pinpoint like the triage kind of response that you do that helps, that someone else listening, medicated or not, could be eye-opening for them, that they could potentially implement and like have a little more clarity?
I don't know if it's just from going on my spiritual journey like the last 5 years, but don't take things personal. It's like really not about you when someone else, because I think our connections and our relationships day to day, people have a bunch of different personalities, right? If they're tired, if they're sick, if they're happy, if they're sad. And if someone's personality changes, especially people you love, like, it's probably not about you. It's probably, and it's something, if you can just be like, oh, that's not about me, I'm not going to take that personal, I'm just gonna, they're, that response was atypical, or maybe, and it's so easy to get offended and be on the defense.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it has nothing to do with me. And if you can kind of, because a lot of times when I'm in a place, my dad passed away a year ago and I went on tour, and I had to go on a lot of walks and spend a lot of alone time. And I'm sure I was a different person during that tour. And so it's like the people around me can just be like, anything that's happening is not about anyone else. It's like my own process that that person's going through. And so if I can relate that with someone else, it's like, don't take it personal.
Yeah, there's also something that I've read. It's like the people who, and it kind of like parallels this, the people who act out the most or are just the most difficult to love are the ones who need it the most.
Yeah. Yeah. Reactive. There's been a lot of trauma, a lot of people have PTSD and from their childhood, and probably don't even realize it. I mean, I'm sure there's things that I've responded in ways only because of, past trauma. And I feel like, yeah, a lot of people who are on the defense or are very reactive need the most patience and need the most love, because of what they endured probably is causing a lot of that.
Yeah. And it takes, I mean, even once you like start to figure out what is setting you off and how your past has affected you, like it takes so long to, I don't know, like iron the creases out, you know,
Right? Yeah.
but it's all awareness.
Yeah. It's being aware and having, people that surround you that, that really you can trust and, you know, kind of decide, like talk to them about stuff and bounce ideas and get real perspective, because if you're
Yeah.
around people that are just like, oh, you're perfect and you're fine, everything's good, and it's like we all have our shadow, we
Mm-hmm.
all have to do shadow work. We all have
Yeah.
to get through those hard times so that we don't carry it into our future.
Um, there's a question that you had checked off on the form, and I feel like now's the time I'm going to ask you. What's something that you're thankful for knowing now that would have been super cool to know when you were younger, or at any point before, today?
Right. Oh man, there's so many things. One of my philosophies on life, I was a high school teacher for a really long time,
Okay.
like 14 years. So I
Oh,
dealt with,
wow.
yeah, I dealt with high school kids, juniors and seniors, and they're wonderful. They're like young adults. And so as a teacher, it's like, yeah, I educate them, but really I'm just trying to motivate them to be their best selves, right? That's like my only, especially at the high school level, it's like find a passion, be your best you, like figure out who you are. That's really where we're at. So I developed a philosophy in life, and it was to be your own best friend.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is when you have a best friend, let's say that you have, this person that is now your best friend, and let's say that she or he or they start telling you, we're going to do this, or I'm going to come over, we're going to, do this. And they start breaking plans with you, right? You lose trust. You're
Yeah.
like, well, that person isn't going to follow through with what they say they're going to do, right? Well, if you tell yourself I'm going to do something, and it's little, it's like, oh, I want to eat healthy today, or I really want to do this, I want to complete this task by the end of the day, or just little stuff. I want to make my bed every morning this week, or whatever. If you don't follow through with that, you lose trust in yourself. It's the smallest thing, but like to really trust yourself, because then when it comes down to like this huge dream goal and it's right in front of you, you take it because you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh yeah, I know if this is something I want, I know I'm going to figure it out. I know I'm going to go after it, because I haven't let myself down over. And like, yeah, you have to give yourself a little bit of leniency, and but if you do that over and over, and you're giving yourself leniency on things that you really wanted to do, that you're like, I really want to do this. And it's about goal setting too, right? Like you don't want to make these monstrous goals that you can't, but it's little things. It's like, oh, tomorrow I really want to da da da. And it's like, I don't really need to do that. And then you're like, when it comes down to it, you're not going to, you lose trust in yourself. And that's the worst thing you could ever do. Right.
Yeah.
As a
And
younger self, like building up that trust as an older person, it's just like such a big deal.
because the link, as you're saying that, and I don't know that I sat down and like looked at it or thought of it this way, but the connection between trust and confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's all,
I mean,
and
that's
like
what
people
you're
are like, well,
saying.
if you love yourself, then you're going to be more confident. And like, that's all cool too. But I think it's more about like trust and love are really interchangeable here. But trusting myself, it's like, when I commit to like a 6-week tour, I know it's going to be really hard, and I know there's going to be all these challenges, but I trust myself enough to be like, I can do that. You know what I mean? Or like, we had a situation in February. We were on tour and we lost our bass player for a few days, and she had to fly home. And I called this girl who I knew not really that well. I knew she could sing. I knew she played guitar. And I was like, can you play bass? And would you want to fly out to France and play a few dates with us and learn the set in like 48 hours? And she did it, dude. She was like, yes. And I thought, that must take a lot of trust. Like she's built up a lot of trust in herself to know that she could even pull something like that off. And it was like such a great experience for her. And we had so much fun. It's like, man, that's a person who, when she says yes, she knows that she can follow through with it. Like, I think most people would be like, man, and she's never toured in Europe and she's never been to France. And like, I'm like, okay, you're going to fly here. We're going to meet, you're going to take a train from this town. You're going to fly in, you're going to play with Fuzz, which is Ty Siegel's band. And it's like 800 people, your first show with no rehearsal. Never doesn't really play bass. She just did it. She did great. She like worked so hard and she like knew she could pull it off. It was crazy.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's what trust gets you. That's what I want to finish this today, and doing it no matter what gets you,
Yeah. Shit.
I know, right? It's like, do it. If you really say you're going to do it, don't give yourself excuses, little things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cause I started July 1st just cause the timing worked out this way, but I did this before and I stopped for a while and was just like not consistent with meditating. And, so doing AM, PM meditation and like 15 minutes a sitting, not a big deal.
Yeah. Perfect goal setting. How easy is that to do?
Right.
I have to do it.
That's it. And so then it's like, but I have so many other things that I try and do in the morning. And it's like, I wake up early, but it's like, so my point being like, what is today, the 12th? So it's only been 12 days, but there's been multiple times where I'm like, I kind of just don't want to do it today, at this, the nighttime or the morning one, but it's
Even
like,
though you made it such a big deal and how you wanted to do this, and this is the thing you wanted to do, and now you're giving yourself an excuse. I know.
Right. So I'm like, no, dude, it's 15 minutes, sit down, do it.
Yeah. You're going to scroll for that long. Like, come on. I know.
And it's sort of like with exercising too, because I don't love exercising. And I know a lot of people don't love it. And it's also getting yourself going to do it. But then as soon as you're done, just like they always say,
you're like, this is okay.
Yeah.
No, I have to get up an hour early to go for a hike today because it's going to be too hot later. And when I get up there, I'm like, beautiful. I'm so glad I did it. And this is what I told myself I wanted to do last night. And I got up and I did it,
Yeah. And that's it. That sense of pride, and I feel like that builds confidence. And so, all of that is interlinked.
Self-love. And I think that's part of self-love, right? Is trusting yourself and like following through and being disciplined. And it's hard. Like, there's things like on tour where I'm like, I'm going to do this. And it sometimes comes down to like the really simplest things. Like I'm going to take a zinc and a vitamin D every night before I go to bed. That's what I'm going to do on tour because my immunity is important to me. And it's such a little thing, but it's like, that is important. And I'm going to do it every day,
Yeah. Yeah. It just feels good to like, not let yourself down.
That's it, right? Your best friend, be your own best friend. Don't let yourself down.
Yeah.
Because, and I would tell my students that like every year, like, man, if you say you're going to study for that exam, put 30 minutes into it, but don't give yourself an excuse.
Did you also let them like open their eyes to be your best friend as far as like how they talk to themselves also?
Oh, totally. Self-talk, right? So important. We didn't know that. That wasn't even a thing like 5 years ago where it was like, wait, my thoughts and my words create my reality? Like, what the heck? Like, and like manifestation is real and intention is real. And I have to even tell myself, because sometimes I'm like, I'm such a freaking idiot and I'm joking, but I'm also like, that's also not okay. Like I need to, that's a joke, kind of funny. Like I got my car towed when we got home from tour. It got impounded and I didn't know, and I was gone for 5 weeks, and I got home and I'm like, where's my car? And like, I thought it got stolen, and it was really a stressful moment. And I'm like, God, I'm such an idiot. Like, ugh. And then it's like, I have to catch myself still.
Yeah. Yeah. But for other people who, again, have the awareness. I just like to reinforce on the podcast that like the normalcy of like the slip ups, but catching them is what
Right.
matters, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's
Cause
like,
we're
even,
all going to have, yeah. No
yeah,
one's perfect.
uh-uh.
Ever. Like you can't live this perfect life. Like it's just not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It's just awareness. It's like, oh, okay. All right. My words create my reality. My thoughts create my reality. What does that even mean? Like, wow.
Yeah. So, okay, if you had to explain that to one of your students, what does that mean? What would you say?
Well, it's pretty far out, you know. It's like, are they even able to grab? Because a lot of people aren't there, you know. A lot of you have to kind of. I think it's like when the student's ready, the teacher
Yeah.
appears.
Yeah.
So some people won't even hear that, and some people would be like, "Oh man, my teacher's such a hippie," and so they're not going to hear it. But it's like, what you really want. You think about that, and you really put your attention and your emphasis and everything you do towards that. Like stuff's going to happen. It's just what it is. It's that's just universal energy.
Yeah. And feeling it too,
Right.
like having that connection to, because a lot with the manifestation, a lot of it is like, how would you feel once you have it, right? So like having that feeling and that whole experience without having it.
Right. Yeah.
Hard for a lot of people.
My best friend Kate, she's so amazing. She's like, well, live with it like for a week that you have this already. Like really believe it that you already have this, and like see how it feels. Does it fit? And it's like, man, that's some far out stuff.
Real.
Yeah.
And also like if it's something that you want and like it doesn't come through, like it doesn't happen, I feel like don't get discouraged, because it's showing like you can still find that in another form.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Or that door closed to open this door, which is when you look back on your life, it's like, wow, that was all supposed to be. Like,
I love it.
And that's another thing with trust, right? It's like, trust that if you're like, man, I didn't get that, or I'm discouraged, or that was a completely different vision from how I saw it happening. It's like always knowing that when you look back, like, a couple years, I'm gonna look back and be like, oh, yep, that's exactly what was supposed to happen.
Yeah. I always used to like kind of joke like, well, even if it's just for my own sanity, I believe that whatever happens is, the right thing to be happening. But like, I don't even know if it's for sanity. I think, I don't know. I think there's like truth to it. Just that.
I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah. Even like if you've had like the most absurd kind of day, like you forgot something at your house, or like you were this close to making the traffic light but then someone slow got in front of you, like that kind of. And or like I've had crazy flight stuff where it's like, how does that even happen? Like it's mind-boggling. Instead of getting upset, for me, I'm just like, I love this because it's so far like extreme sort of that it's clearly like I'm not dead.
I know. Well, and it's like, okay, people, some people are like, well, that's just toxic positivity, and it's like, for me, I'm like, no, it's a great coping skill. Like even the big life stuff too, we've all gone through really heavy losses, and it's so hard. But if you can really pull from that understanding that stuff is supposed to happen, it's like, man, that really puts you in a place of gratitude too.
That's it. And toxic positivity is like people who completely denounce any negativity, like they won't. And like most people do acknowledge,
there's challenges and this shit sucks.
So silver linings and a pro-con list and looking at the pros, like that's like gratitude. I'm down with that.
For sure.
Here's an advert in less than 50 seconds. Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Do you want to feel better in your mind and body? Then check out the wellness coaching that I offer. It's kind of like therapy. You can share what's on your mind, and then it's all about taking action. You'll learn new tools to help you heal and grow through what's tripping you up. We can focus on anything from physical health to mental health. Schedule a free 15-minute consult over on the website to learn more. And check out our Healthy Touring course. This self-guided online video course is for any level of musician. Whether you tour all the time or only sometimes, you'll learn a ton if your goal is to play better, feel better, and be better. With special appearances by members of Descendants, Teenage Bottle Rocket, The Last Gang, Lawrence Arms, and more. Head over to the website for all the details. Now, back to the interview.
Is there anything like specific healthy changes that you've implemented that have like improved your creativity?
Creativity. Ooh, I think just moving to the mountains, honestly. Like, so I was a high school teacher for 14 years and touring. I had a really good sub, so they would let me tour. It was really a really cool thing. And then she left, and then there was COVID happened. It was brutal. And Dusty and I bought this cabin in the mountains, and we were just gonna rent it, Airbnb it, and we just fell in love with it. And I was like, man, there's no way the universe put us here to not live here. Like and it's like to quit your job, your stable job, and just move, and it was like it was like, this is what my life is now, so quitting my job, even though I loved it, helped tremendously, because now I can be more creative in ways to like just make money and create just creativity in general, and just thinking outside the box and not living like super traditionally like I did, having like, what am I gonna do for health insurance, what am I, it's like all these exciting things, and just being in nature. It's like so grounding up here. It's been the best change for me. And I know not every, and it's like, oh, how awesome for you that you get to do that. And it's like I know that, like, how extremely lucky I am. Like, not everybody gets an opportunity, but it's like, if you have that opportunity to choose health over finances, and health and living for you over the grind, like this, like, if your job, if you hate it or whatever, and you have that opportunity, like, you'll always figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you'll always, if you can move into a place that just gets you more and out with nature, or just, that can inspire you. If you're not happy at your job, if you're not happy at your place, it's like, make that jump, take that risk.
Yeah, it's all choices. I mean, someone could like roll their eyes or be like, oh, okay, well, you got it. But they're choices that you've consciously made and chose to focus on.
And it's so hard, you're sacrificing finances, and you're sacrificing these big things. I'm 2 hours from Los Angeles, and a lot of big things, but it's like, overall, it's been the best decision. I like, looking back on my life, if I could live the life that I'm living right now forever, I'd be so happy. And I know that I don't want to get too attached, because like the Buddhist in me, like, not that I'm Buddhist, but like the person in me, like, don't get too attached to anything,
Right.
like, that's when you suffer, is because you put too much emphasis on things, and it's like, could be gone tomorrow. But just the fact that I can spend time here at all, like, I just feel it's been really great. Like, Bonnie and I have written a lot of songs here, especially on the last 2 albums, and it just has been such, I started a studio upstairs. I've been working with 2 other people and recording, and like, I would have never done that,
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
yeah,
I'm so
lucky.
stoked for you that you have that space and that.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
cool.
it's amazing. I'm like, come up. Like, the soul contract that I signed for this place is like, I have to invite everybody up. I have to share it with the world. So I'm like, come up. Like, this weekend I have a bunch of people coming up. Like, I can, like 6 or 8 people that are gonna come up. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any other stuff aside from nature and like being around your dogs that help to just balance stress, or like if there's anything that helps you deal with like adversity or just like, more like extreme kind of stress or bad news, things like that.
I didn't consider myself a spiritual person or like religious. Like my family, like we never went to church. I was never baptized. I didn't really understand that part of life really. And then about 5 years ago, it's like I just kind of just started really being in tune with all of it. And when I get really stressed out, I really try to look for bigger picture stuff. And I really, I'm trying to get into like guide stuff. And, since my dad passed away, it's like medium stuff and talking with people that like try these different modalities to like just change your thinking, And I find when I get really stressed about stuff, if I really tune into that, it's like, it's just such an armor, So, not everybody's spiritual, and I don't even know like what it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm this and Buddhist and this and this and this, or like,
honestly, it's better that you can't like list
yeah,
off.
I don't identify with anything. And like a lot of the practice I do is by myself. I don't practice it with an organized group. It's like, but that's really helped me a lot,
Yeah, I mean, and like it's similar for me too, like just having, again, I just feel like it's awareness, and it's just being able to, it opens your mind to just see things differently and like step around the corner and look at what's going on, kind of a thing. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's, and like, because it's philosophy kind of stuff too with the spirituality.
Right. Which I never really, I was always like a math girl or a science girl. Like I wasn't a good writer, and I did art. I was good like visual artist and like good at music, but like I never, to have like these deep philosophical. Like I was like, nah, that's not who. It's like you little punk rocker kid that just was a rebel, right?
Yeah,
like
I was like a total nihilist. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't want to.
Yeah, totally.
Any of the philosophical kind of questions, I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
Now it's like a 180. It's just like, it's exciting to be like, just thinking about this stuff and like how it affects you, and just to kind of like, think about it.
Yeah, it's just bigger picture, it's like I want to live, I want to be happy. I want to be at peace.
Yes.
Right? Like I think we sit there and we judge a lot of things, or we get really locked down with like relationships or people or things, little stupid things like the moths. I'm like, it's fucking moth. And I'm like, why do I give a shit? Like, why do I care? And yeah,
because
it's like
once you accept the moths are there, and you are fine with it,
the moths are there.
Hardly see them.
Yeah, the moths are there. They're just living. It's fine. It's like not a big deal, but how simple, or how easy do we get tied up with these things? And it's like, I just want to be at peace. And I feel like in my life, really for the first time, probably because of living here, it's like, I really don't have an issue with anybody. It's crazy. Like being younger, there's always like that one person or like this person or this one family member, and it's like, I've really let all that go, and it just feels so good. Like truly let it go, not just like, I got to get over it, or breakups, or, when you have to leave relationships or you have to let go of somebody, or, it's like all those things you can get so caught up with. And it's like, I just want to be at peace,
Yeah. And it's less expectation and less attachment.
Less judging.
Yeah. I am drawing a blank right now just because I'm processing everything. So
good. Yay. That's awesome.
Yeah. But like that's what's hard for me with these podcasts is like, and I listen to other people, and I don't even know if they edit them or not, but like
they do.
They must, because
They do. They absolutely do.
because there's no way you can fire back with such a well thought out response to something so like just heavy or
Heavy and deep, right?
yeah.
No, totally. No, especially with this kind of thing. If you were like, what's the favorite album you played on? Or like you're asking me like simple questions like that. But like this is
Right.
yeah, we're talking like big stuff.
Yeah, and like and that's what you know what, I'm gonna leave this in. I'm not even editing this out because now it's just
Hey.
reflection. But I have these conversations and like I really like I love them and think about it because I learn from like everyone I speak to also.
So
And
cool you're
like
doing this, by the way. Honestly, like Bonnie does a podcast and it's just so cool like how much you learn from like having like these real conversations with people. And I think people open up on the podcast because it's like a different thing, you know. It's cool.
yeah,
So cool.
I've had some people after they're like, oh my God, that was like a therapy session. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
totally.
oh,
Yeah,
you're
it's like
welcome. But then I have some people who it's like 2-word answers. And I'm thinking to myself, why did you say yes to this? Because
right. They're
making my
getting nervous
job
on
really
camera.
hard.
Yeah. No, it's good for me. I mean, I love talking about health. I'm not embarrassed to talk about my anxiety. I feel like, you know, I think I've learned from a lot of people who've opened up and talked real, like you said, with the podcast, just in person. You know, it's just that's how we need to share our experiences. That's how we
Yeah.
learn.
I mean, and that's why I started this, is because having that, being able to relate to someone, that's everything. With what you realize, you know, something new will click within yourself and like you realize, oh, I can advance. It's like a video game. I could go to this next level, you know, and like by implementing this or that thought changes everything.
How much have you learned from listening to other people's podcasts, though? I mean, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I get hooked on like spiritual podcasts or wellness podcasts, and I'm just like, it's like you're learning something new every day. You're learning so much. Like on tour, you're like sitting in the van just processing, like, holy crap, I just learned so much today with this one podcast.
What are some that you really like that you've gotten a lot out of?
Yeah, so this girl, her name's Jessa Reed. She's real far out. I mean, you know, for somebody that's like not into like super spiritual stuff, she had a near death experience and she, you know, is able to channel and learn a lot of lessons. And she's on the forefront of like, you know, she like predicted COVID, and she talks about a new life and like breaking your conditioning, you know, like all the and all the conditioning of the world, right? All this programming, like
Yeah.
financial stability programming and, you know, gender programming and all this stuff. And it's just so cool. Like I just got super big into her. Yeah.
What's the
So
name of the podcast?
her pod, she's got a couple of them.
Oh.
Gosh, what's the one? I just got done listening to all the Mormon and the Method is the one, but the one before that, her spiritual one, God, what's the name of it? Oh, Soberish. That's it.
Okay.
Soberish. Yeah, she's great. She's great.
Cool.
Check her. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's far out. I love her. So
Yeah, there's so many valuable ones out there.
yeah.
I need to sift through, but there's a lot of valuable ones. There's a woman who I think she's like a minister and a therapist, and I don't know what else is like on her resume, but like she was a guest, I think, on Mel Robbins, who's like
Okay.
a massive
Yeah.
name. But the woman's name is Dr. I think it's Telma. I want to
Okay.
say like Thelma, but I think it's Telma. And like her episodes are like 30 minutes and like, and she has a very soothing voice. I love her stuff.
That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, gosh, that stuff is just great, especially for traveling, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Mhm.
and playing music every night, your ears are burnt. Like I don't sometimes just don't want to hear music. And so, yeah, it's so cool that you're doing this, really, honestly. And it's cool, like the topic that you chose, because wellness can be everything, right? But it's like we're all trying to be a better self. And
Yeah. And
right. I think everybody in this world, if you're like do you try to be healthier? Do you want to be healthier? I think like 100% everybody's trying to be a better person, right?
Yeah. But, and it goes back to what you try to bestow upon your, your students is a lot of people want it, but they don't work to get it. They don't show up for themselves.
Right.
That's like I think that's probably like the number one thing that trips people up is like
So
they're
hard,
too
right? It's so
busy.
hard to like find that passion and like, all the breaking through like all the programming and like all the addictions and all the, self-hate and all these things like we don't deserve it. And breaking through all that is a challenge. I think that we all have to do. And yeah, finding that is so important. And there's so many days where I just don't want to get out of bed. It's like it's really, even up here where it's beautiful, I'm still like, oh, I just am so overwhelmed, or and it's tough. But you're right,
Yeah.
you have to like, but talking with other people, it's like, what inspires you? How do I get inspired again? And I think it gets harder as you get older.
It can, or I think, I don't know, there's shaking it up with who are your friends. I don't know. It's like inventorying. What are you listening to? What are you watching? Like, and like
Yeah,
you
what are
got
you putting into your soul? I know, isn't it crazy? It's like, what do they say? Your top 5 most people you hang out with the most is like,
define you.
yeah, it's like, that's crazy. Yeah, what are you putting in your soul? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I
And
know.
it's easy, especially with social media, to just get caught up in this like tunnel vision
No.
and not stop and like, yeah, inventory your life.
Are you on TikTok?
No, ma'am. Well, technically, I tried it for like a week, and I think my account, the Wellness Provisions account, is still there, but I
You
thought it
know,
was a bunch of garbage, so no.
it's pretty garbage. And I mean, I'm just gonna talk about it. They just came out with this new age filter that's like supposedly supposed to be pretty real. And people like to see people's reaction to aging is so sad. And like I get
Oh,
it because I'm 42 years old, like I'm not a young buck anymore, but I am just like, man, I just feel so sorry for like people. Like, how are people going to cope with it? Like, they're like, literally, it's crazy seeing reactions to like this. And I'm like, social media is going to fuck people up.
so it's showing them what you will look like, do you like input an age or something, or like,
Just, and some people look okay and some people don't. And it's like just what it is. I mean, it's pretty interesting because I did it just for fun. I didn't post it. I just wanted to see, of course, like it's
yeah.
there. And then now when I look in the mirror, I'm like, I see, I like, it's like crazy. I'm like, oh, she's already there. It's
Well, yeah, because it's you.
yeah, it's me. And it's like, wow, I look like that. Like it's, depending on like in the morning but I'm like, that's interesting.
But, as you're saying that, like, it makes me think, like, for a while, like, I was not getting a lot of sleep. Like, I was talking to someone almost every night, like in the middle of the night, East Coast, because he was in California. Like, he called me when he got out of work from like a kitchen job. So it's like,
Right. You're staying up late. Yeah.
yeah. And like, because I'm 38 and a lot of people think I look younger, but
You do very much.
yeah. But I was looking in the mirror for a while and like it's gotten better because we're not talking as much and not at those hours, but it was like crazy like bags under my eyes and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like this is what most people deal with like on a regular basis.
Totally. Well, and you
Deal with
care about
it.
your health, right? It's like,
Yeah.
not that I'm afraid to age, but like I want to be in the best shape for how old I am and where I'm at. And so it's like a lot of people, yeah, their health, they just don't take it serious. It's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I grew up in a household, my mom was very, very cautious. Like her diet, and she's turning 70 and she's gonna go hike the Camino in Spain. It's like 8 miles a day for like 21 days or some shit. She's 70 and I'm like,
Dude.
she's just so health conscious, and I'm so grateful that I had it. But yeah, a lot of people just don't,
Yeah.
social media, it's gonna be
But
rough. It's gonna
but
be rough.
that's what like I think people like if you don't want these certain things or if you start to see things happening to your body, make different choices.
I know.
you know?
It's so easy to say that too, right? But it's like, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It really is, and we're just fed, it's like, here's some trash food. Here's how you medicate for it, which again, I'm pro medication, but like just putting a band-aid on a lot of health stuff is really not the way to go.
Yeah, no, because they're creating the health issues to sell you the.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We could go down that road too. We wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like another rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's like a whole 2-hour episode.
Yeah. But with the medication though, like the last thing I'll say to that is like, I am not into prescriptions, but there is a time and a place for them. It's like, I'm all about like alternative holistic medicine and stuff, but we have many wonderful advancements in medicine, and like there's a time and a place for them where they're imperative and crucial, and
certain things. Yeah.
and pharmaceuticals, like for mental health, like I think that's like the top of the list for importance, because like your brain's everything.
I know. I had a friend, or not a friend, acquaintance, and she got diagnosed with HIV, and she was like, I'm going to go the holistic route. And so I followed her journey, and, just stuff like that, where you're like, man, sometimes you need Western medication stuff to help you, but I mean, I like all the holistic stuff, I'm trying to really, on tour, we go to Whole Foods like every other day, So we're trying, it's tough, but we try. It's choices again, like you said.
Yeah. It's like a lunch buffet. You take,
right.
things, and then you have a full
I'm gonna
plate.
get a salad, and I'm gonna do 1 scoop of mac and cheese.
Yeah. Totally. Balance. What do you have a quote that you like a lot?
Yeah. So I wanted to go the spiritual route, but I was like, no, I need to go the rock and roll route. Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, just not fun. You might get what you need. That one.
Yeah, that's perfect. But it's also, if you didn't sing it, it would also be a spiritual route.
Right? Well, it's funny because I used to sing it to my kids, like when they get all upset. And I would just sing it. And then I'm like, man, I need to sing that to myself too, when I start being like, I wanted this and I didn't get this. And it's like, we're all kids at heart. It's like, no, can't always get what you want.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do, but it's probably because it's what you were supposed to get.
That's right. So the tagline for my business, because I do the coaching and self-supplements and all the other stuff aside from the podcast, is delay dying.
Okay.
So I like to ask everybody, if you had to give someone advice on how to delay dying, or in other words, just live happier and healthier, what would you?
That's a great question. If I had to give someone advice on how to delay dying, oh man, there's like so many things running through my head. I'm trying to pick the best one. I think it would be learning how to love yourself and trust yourself.
Yeah.
To stay happy, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. I think it just ties into the philosophy somehow.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah. And also become an alien and move to Saturn. That might be.
Or at least like the mountain.
That also might help you.
Be in nature.
Yeah, be in nature. Yeah. Surround yourself with the people, good people. That's
yes.
Don't be afraid to let people go if it's not what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like so many things, but yeah.
Those are good. That's a good short little list.
Yeah.
So do you guys have anything cool coming up or coming out this summer?
Yeah, we're on an international tour. So we have Europe for 3 weeks in August. We're doing a Mexico tour, and then we come home, and then we do a West Coast tour, and then we come home, and then we go to Australia.
Oh shit.
My first time. It's like a big deal. We've been manifesting Australia for at least, I mean, I don't, since I knew it was even possible as a band to go there, and not, a lot of bands go there, but not every band gets to go. And it's the first time for all of us. So I have like this little koala bear, like pinched to my little altar thing.
Okay.
Like such a big deal. It's like something I've been really excited about. So
wow.
It's only 5 shows, but it's perfect.
Yeah. So is it just 5 nights then, or do you have time off?
I think there's a couple days off here and there, but yeah, Australia's so big. It's like, I think you have to kind of do some fly dates, and I don't really know exactly what it entails yet, but we announce it here in a couple weeks. So stoked.
Dude, that's so exciting. The worst part, though, I mean, to me, is getting there. The flight there.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, travel. I mean, luckily, it's like we've done some crazy traveling in the last year, so but yeah, it's a big deal. I know. It's like, okay, I hope we get to see koala bears. I love bears.
That's what I was going to ask you, if there's like a couple of things that you want checked off your own personal list being there.
That number one. Yeah, that'd be number one. I want to see a koala bear. I mean, even if I like, holding them, they do all that. But even if I don't get to hold one, just being around one and getting to see one in real life. Oh my God. In Australia. Oh my God. I know. I mean, I wish we were staying for longer. I mean, it'd be cool to like snorkel the reef or, but I mean, really, that's the biggest one,
Koalas.
Yeah, koalas.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited for you. And I'm just like, my dream is having a house in the woods. So
you should come visit.
Dude, like,
honestly, if you're ever out to California, you have an invite. Honestly, come. I got plenty of room. Come up. You can stay. Yeah. No, it's beautiful here. Really, honestly, it's a great escape.
So cool. So cool. Dude, thank you for making time.
Thank you.
Hanging out and all of it.
Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. I know now why we have so many mutual friends.
Yes.
Perfect sense.
For real, this was destined to happen.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.